Hey Woodies, how you doing? Wood Pops here. Well, a lot going on in the shop this week. I got some new toys and we're going to try them out. I'm doing this cold turkey. I haven't had a practice run, so whatever happens, happens. You want to be sure and stick around and watch this episode. Could be great, could be epic failure, okay? So what are we going to be doing? We're going to be wood turning the $1,000 epoxy resin oak burl bowl. Yeah. $1,000 bowl. Okay. And here's the oak burl that you see right here. And I'm going to tell you how I prepared this, and then we're going to dive right in to setting this thing in epoxy resin and turning it, okay? So let's get started on wood turning the $1,000 epoxy resin oak burl bowl. All right, all right, all right. Let's go. Okay, what have we got here? Okay, the first thing we've got our oak burl, and let me tell you how I prepped this. Okay, put it on the lathe, mounted a glue block on it, put it on the lathe, turned it round. Okay, and then the next thing I did was I blew off all the dust and everything that was loose on it. The next thing I did was I chipped off all of the bark. Any bark that I could get off of it, I chipped it off. And for the most part, the bark came off nice and easy, okay? Once the bark was removed, I brushed it down real good, I blew it off, and the next thing I did was I gave it a really good, nice, heavy coat of de-waxed shellac. I wanted to seal that wood as best I could, okay? I let that de-waxed shellac set on the piece for about 4 hours, let it cure fully. And then the next thing I did is I mixed up a tiny little bit of amazing clear Alumilite, okay? Once I got that mixed up really well, you know, I mix it for about 3 or 4 minutes, and the next thing I did was I took a disposable brush, this one right here, this disposable brush, and what I did is I used that little bit of Alumilite that was in a cup, just a tiny bit, and I brushed it on all over this piece, okay? Covered this piece with a nice heavy coat of this Alumilite. Then I put it on my jet small lathe and set it at 50 RPMs. And I let this thing turn for about 4 hours while the epoxy resin cured. And it was just turning very slowly, 50 RPMs, and that was just enough so that we didn't get any drips, okay? So what I've got now is I've got a nice hard coat on here. I'm not worried about any gassing coming out of this burl, okay? So it's ready to submerge in the epoxy resin. And that's the next thing we're gonna do, okay? Let me show you what I'm using. Of course, I'm using my epoxy resin. I got this from Amazon. I just wanted a small amount to try it out. I didn't want to get a lot of stuff, okay? Then I got some pigments. I'm going to use this copper colored pigment right here. And then I got this black diamond pigment. I also got these on Amazon. And we're going to mix up 2 kinds in 2 different cups, and we're going to kind of swirl them together, okay? So that's my resin and that's my epoxy. So you got to have a scale to measure this thing so that you get the right amounts, the right amount of the each part A and part B. And so I have this little scale that I also bought on Amazon, and it works great. I've been using it for a long time, and it's very accurate. Okay, so I'm going to use that to make sure I get part A and part B equal. Okay. By the way, this is the packaging. That's what I'm going to be using. I don't know if this is the right stuff or not. Like I said, this is my first time. But it did work great coating that burl, okay? So that part worked really well. Of course, I've got my mixing cups right here. So what's the next thing we need? We need a mold, okay? And here's my mold, okay? This is a homemade mold. I turned a piece of wood on the lathe. You can see right there, round. And when I turned it, I turned a groove in the bottom of it. And then the next thing I did is I used these kitchen cutting boards, these very inexpensive ones from Dollar Tree. They're plastic, they're flimsy, and I cut one in half and I put them together so that I would have this nice form to put my cast in, okay? So the plastic fit down in the groove, then I taped it up, and then I used my hot glue gun, which I also got on Amazon, to do the glue around the outside. I glued the outside here, also glued on the inside there, and I glued, as you can see right here, down the seams. So that's all been glued with the hot gun, okay? So now on the bottom of this, so that it doesn't stick, I put packing tape. Put some heavy-duty packing tape down there, so I'm hoping this is not going to stick. Okay, the other thing I'm going to do is on the inside of this plastic you see right in here, I'm going to put some paste wax in there, okay? And maybe that'll help release this. So that's the plan. And then, of course, we're going to mix our epoxies together, our part A and part B. We're going to swirl in some color, and then we're going to pour it and put it into the pressure pot. Ah, the pressure pot. I've been putting off forever buying a pressure pot. I decided to go ahead and bite the bullet, do it this month. I got an unexpected little bit amount of money from a grant I applied for. So it was an art grant. So I went ahead and bit the bullet, and I bought CA Technologies 5-gallon pressure pot. It's a nice pressure pot, and it was, I think it was $650. So we'll see how that works in this episode, and we'll see if I get my money's worth, okay? I also went to Lowe's and purchased this 5-quart container. And the reason I bought this is because I want to slip this casting mold down inside of it. So it's got a handle. I can drop it into the 5-gallon pressure pot. And if any resin leaks out of this, it'll leak into this container and it won't get on my pressure pot. So you can see that I've got that right there. I've got my colors. You've seen that. Got my scale, got my piece. I'm gonna slip it right in there. Okay. All I got to do is mix up the product and put it in and slip it in the pressure pot. Okay? So let's get to it. It's 91 grams. Okay, there's 90 again. We're going to stir this for 4 minutes. I want to make sure we scrape the sides. Get it mixed up really good. Mixing is the key. You want to get it really nice and mixed. You don't worry about bubbles because we're going to have it in a pot. So let me stir this for 4 minutes. I'll be back to you. Okay, we're going to add a little black diamond cobalt blue pigment powder. About that much. Okay, that one's ready. We'll do the next one. Okay, I think we're ready to pour. So we got our bucket here. We got our mold here. I think we're ready. Okay, I can tell right now I'm not going to have enough. Yep. Okay, I was right, not enough. I'm going to have to mix another cup. Good thing I got some open time here. Just enough, perfect amount. Perfect. Now this mixing cup was $1 from the Dollar Tree. So I can toss that right out. Those will be perfect. Okay, let's take it to the pot. So there it is.
that's about 55. So we're going to leave it there and let it cook for 24 hours. Keep your fingers crossed. This is a first.
Okay, it's been 40 hours. We're going to let the pressure off this thing and we're going to take it out, see what we got. Yeah, I may have a problem getting this out of here. I forgot to wax the inside of this red plastic, so that's okay, I can peel it right off. So let's go over and peel this off. Okay, let's see if we can get this off of here. This cheap scraper is giving me a lot of chip out. I can see I'm going to need a carbide tip finishing tool.
wonder if I'd have better luck with a bowl gouge.
This is the first time I've used Mylan's sanding sealer and also the Yorkshire grit products. And I have to tell you, this is the easiest, most beautiful finish I have ever achieved on a piece like this. I am absolutely blown away. I am so glad I tried this. If nothing else, I learned this during this episode.
I'm really afraid this is going to come off the glue block.
Well, I'm not going to make the mistake of doing just one more cut. I'm going to stop this right now, and I'm going to loosen this glue with my heat gun and pry this off and finish the bottom on my sander. Well, that's a wrap. And here's the finished product. What do you think? It's my $1,000 epoxy resin oak burl. Came out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it, considering this is my first time. The pressure pot did a great job. I had no bubbles and no cracks, so I can't complain. I did leave it in the pot though for 40 hours. So there's that. Well, one thing I learned about this epoxy resin stuff is it's expensive stuff. I'm not too sure I can sell enough of these to get my money back for my pressure pot and everything. Plus, epoxy resin is pretty expensive. So that means if I sell this stuff at art shows, it's going to be pretty pricey. So maybe I'll just do YouTube videos on epoxy resin wood turning, because they seem to be fairly popular. And I certainly could use more subscribers and more views. That would increase the revenue on my channel. That would help pay for the epoxy resin. In any case, I'm still considering my options. We'll just have to wait and see. Subscribe, click the little bell, so you'll be notified when my next video comes out. And I got 2 videos lined up for you right over there. Please make sure you check one of them out. And until next time, this is Wood Pops. See you in the next video. Take care.